Welcome everyone here to Mastering the new Esri ArcGIS connector, Streamlined Data Management and Robust Metadata. Today we have the pleasure of being joined by both our good friends and partners over at Esri, as well as Sienna from our SAFE team as our presenters. I'll hand things over to Sienna to kick off our introductions.
Hi, my name is Sienna Emery. I've been at Safe Software for 7 years now, and I'm a customer solutions specialist, so helping you figure out how to do things with FME, and I'll pass it off to Bruce.
Thanks, Sienna. I'm Bruce Harold. I'm product manager for the ArcGIS data interoperability extension, which is Esri's repurposing of FME Form. I've been in the game for decades, still enjoying it. So now I'll hand over to Renato.
Hi, I'm a product engineer for Esri. I've been with the company for 7 years now, and prior to that, I've been with utility in the Southeast in the United States.
Amazing. Thank you to all three of you. And we also do have a full Q&A crew on the back end here today. We have Rahul, Trent, and Phil joining us, ready and eager to help answer any questions you might have during the webinar. And then as well, as usual, we will have dedicated time at the end for questions with our Q&A team and our presenters. So please do not hesitate to get any questions you might have during the webinar into that questions tab. And you'll see that on the bottom right. We also have the chat, so you can keep letting us know where you're joining from or share any comments there during the webinar. And also the react button. We love to see how everyone's feeling during the webinar. So please do share your emoji reactions. It fuels us as we present, and it's nice to see how everyone's reacting as we go. And we do have a poll coming up, so keep an eye on that polls tab. Love to see everyone using the react button already. And if you have any audio or video issues, you can use that help button on the bottom left. It has 4 simple steps that you can take. If you want to download the slides to follow along, you can also do so by clicking, there's a top right button, download button that you can click and download the slides directly. All right, so with that, I'm going to prompt our presenters if they can please turn off their webcams to save on some bandwidth for the remainder here, and I'll take us through a brief overview of our agenda. So as you can see, we have a lot of segments, a lot of great content to cover today. We're going to be kicking things off with an introduction to today's topic, followed by feature service and metadata maintenance. From there, we're going to be going into a reader and writer demo. As part of that, Bruce will be taking us through attachments, as well as batch creating items in portals or hub. From there, we'll be wrapping things up with branch versioning before we go on to our wrap-up conclusion. And then we're going to be sharing some resources with you so that you can get started yourselves, as well as next steps, and then that dedicated time for Q&A that I mentioned earlier. All right, so it is time for our poll. I will go ahead and launch that. We'd love to know today, how do you currently handle metadata? It'd be great to get some insight on that going into today's webinar. And I've launched that now. We'll give everyone a moment. Okay, yeah, if our presenters want to head to the poll and take a look at the results with me, it looks like most people have placed their votes now.
Yeah, so it looks like very few people are doing it automatically with some automation. So lots of room for improvement there, unless if you like manually adjusting your metadata. What do you think, Bruce?
Yeah, everybody's in the right place, I think, today. To learn, I mean.
Fantastic.
To be sure there.
Okay, great. Feel free to keep voting, but we can move on now. I'll pass things over to Sienna for our introduction. Thanks, everyone.
Perfect. Thanks, Elizabeth. All right, so let's get started because we do have a packed webinar today. But why are you here? You're here to learn about the new ArcGIS connector package, and I'll walk you through exactly what's in it, how to use it, and we have some great demos by Bruce and Renato later on that shows you exactly how to use these features to allow you to automate your workflows even better. So the ArcGIS connector package allows you to publish faster, automate your metadata, and eliminate those manual bottlenecks when you're posting data to your ArcGIS systems. So today you'll learn how to simplify and automate your publishing to your various ArcGIS portals. And this could be any data set you want to publish up there. This could be using branch versioning or attachments or metadata, getting that all automatically synchronized between your various portals or from any outside source to your portals. So this will allow you to ensure you have consistent, secure, and accurate data across your ArcGIS environments. So what does FME do? Well, it allows you to build these pipelines that can allow you to streamline these complex publication issues into a streamlined, repeatable, low maintenance pipeline to get your data from your sources to your destination. In this case, we're in the ArcGIS environment, so it will be your various ArcGIS portals. And as I'm going through the webinar, you might hear us say FME Form, you might hear us say ArcGIS data interoperability. In this case, you can use those interchangeably. So it doesn't matter what product you have, whether it's FME Form or ArcGIS data interoperability, these workflows will work the same on both products. So you can use either today. I believe I'll be demonstrating in FME Form, and Bruce and Renato are strictly in the data interop world. A little bit more about FME if this is your first webinar. An introduction to our platform. So FME Form is where you build your data workflows. FME Flow, after you've built those data workflows in FME Form or data interoperability, FME Flow is how you automate those workflows. It's how you deploy them and have them run automatically. And then FME Realize is a new product that we have that allows you to visualize your data in real time in the real world using an iOS app. And a bit of an unsung hero here, but we'll also be talking about FME Hub because it's essential for the improvements that we made to the ArcGIS formats and also the ArcGIS Online connector. So what does FME Hub do? Think of the FME Hub like a centralized marketplace that allows you to extend your FME. And when I say marketplace, please don't think that there's an additional cost to this because there is not. It's all built into the product, but it allows you to access additional content. And this additional content, it could be official content built by us. In this case, everything here was built by a developer. But you could also have community content as well that lives on the hub. Well, why do we post official content to the hub? It's really simple. It allows us to push out these updates instantly. So now we can update these packages in case something changes on the web services side, which allows you to stay up to date with our newest improvements for these ArcGIS connectors without you having to upgrade FME or data interop yourself. So it's a really great way to stay up to date without going through that manual effort of updating FME or data interop. Just like our official or our built-in content, anything that comes from us will be developer built, tested, and maintained and ready for production use. If you go to FME Hub, you can see the new ArcGIS connector there. If you go and you log in, you can give it a little star. What the star allows you to do is get updates whenever the package is updated itself. So if you like to stay up to date on the latest and greatest versions, this might be a thing for you to try out and do. However, you can get FME Hub content directly within FME Form or Data Interop as well. So if you don't want to ever visit the FME Hub website, you can still interact with the FME Hub. So let's talk about the changes we've made. You might have noticed them already because we pushed these changes out all the way back to 2024.0, which I believe is the same version of ArcGIS Pro 3.3 if you're using data interop. Previously, we had built-in readers and writers for ArcGIS Online, Enterprise, and Server. These had overlapping functionality, which was harder for us to maintain and meant that you had to update your software if you wanted to get access to the new versions. However, now in 2024.0, we've unveiled a package which contains feature service readers and writers. What this means is we have one reader and writer that allows you to access ArcGIS Online, Enterprise, or Server. It's all built into one package. And with that, we also made new transformers as well. So to help you manage your attachments better, we have the ArcGIS attachment connector, which we'll be demoing later on. We also have the branch version manager, which helps you manage your versions. And we have a new and improved expanded ArcGIS Online connector. And we're not just stopping there, we're getting enhancements requests all the time from either you on the community or directly from Bruce and Renato. And we'll be improving this as we go on. So the functionality is only going to get better from here. Let's talk about the ArcGIS Online connector, because you can do so many things with it. Before, I saw the ArcGIS Online connector as a way to basically upload files that were not feature services to ArcGIS Online or Enterprise. But you can do so much more with it. Thanks a lot to Renato and Bruce for making these requests to improve the functionality of this transformer. So yes, you can do file management, which is like uploading, downloading, deleting files or folders. But you can also gain insight into the content that lives on your ArcGIS Online or your ArcGIS Enterprise. This allows you to list folders and items, or also retrieve and set metadata on those items. It also allows you to collaborate and share your various items across your organization. So again, just a streamlined way to do your full publishing process without additional steps. So everything can be done within the workspace now. We also allow you to publish supported items to ArcGIS Online or Enterprise as well. All right, so a bit of a chat storm. So what would you like to see in the ArcGIS connector? Is there an area where you think we're lacking? What's an improvement you'd like to see from us?
Yeah, and maybe we can do a bit of a countdown. So if everyone wants to start typing but don't send yet, and then we'll count down and then everyone can send at once. It's kind of fun to see everything pop in at once. So we'll give everyone a moment here to type in your ideas. Another few seconds. All right, and go for it. Everyone can send. Okay, awesome. We have lots of ideas there in the chat.
And just a note, we will be sending this on to our product management team. So if you see an issue or, sorry, a comment that you like, chat that out as well so we can get an idea of how many people want this.
Yeah, great point. Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
A lot of symbology management, which is interesting because we typically kind of steer away from symbology, but very, very interesting to see. Anything that sticks out to you, Bruce or Renato?
Yeah, symbology management, relationship setting. It's right up my alley for my demo. How did that happen?
Yeah, tokens are there, and we got them covered. So a lot of questions on tokens. Yeah.
Don't use supply token. It's the OAuth 2 authentication is the way to go.
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
Okay, perfect. Well, that's a good transition because we'll be talking about web services a little later on. Again, once you open FME, if you're in 2024.0 and above, if you type in feature service now, you'll see a lot of readers and writers. We're in a bit of a messy transition right now. So eventually we will not show the previous readers and writers within the gallery. But for right now, you will see everything. So you can still select and use these readers and writers. But if you want to use the new version, type in feature service and scroll down to the bottom of the list. That will show off the new feature service readers and writers. A good way to tell if you're connecting to the package is above the title, you'll see like a little package icon with a version of the package. You can download that and use it, try it out, let us know how you feel about it. And again, we just have these new transformers, which we'll be demoing. So the branch version manager and the attachment connector. A little bit of a note. So there is a breaking change ahead. And I'd recommend you click on that article and you follow these steps listed in the article to learn how to work with the new web services that we created for the new format and the new package. And Elizabeth chatted that out as well. So you can go ahead and save that link. But just a note here, so we did create new web services for this package, and you can identify which are the new web services, because if you look at your web services dialog, they'll all end in safe.esri-eagle. So this applies to everything, whether you're using the format, the ArcGIS Online connector, the attachment connector, or the branch version manager. You won't be able to use the older web services with the new package. So you'll have to do some work there to set those up. A little note about the web services and what they are. So typically, I always use the OAuth web services because it works for us. If you're using ArcGIS Online, the OAuth web service is probably the way to go, unless you have a special workflow. And for portal, it depends on what authentication method your portal is using. So sometimes the OAuth web service will work properly, sometimes it won't. But we have full details in the articles linked below about how to set up these web services and how to use them. The other web services we have, so we have two token-based web services. So here you're either exchanging a username and password, or you're exchanging a token you've created to get a new token. We also have the ArcGIS login methodology, and this is typically if you're using NTLM authentication in your enterprise. So again, what web service you use typically depends on how your enterprise is set up. And with that, I'll pass it off to Bruce.
Thanks, Sienna. So as that poll was just a fantastic lead into what I'm about to show, which is maintaining both your data and your metadata in one workspace. So what the poll told us was that a lot of people are either manually working with their metadata separately to the data, or they don't have any defined process in place. So they're like some organizations, so here we are. So the goal is to write data and metadata and maintain it on a continuous basis. Previously, there wasn't enough tooling to do that within the ETL workspaces. The Esri ArcGIS connector provides the required functionality to do that, and the end result is happiness. Data and metadata is easily automated. So I believe right now, Elizabeth, I can go to demo. So we are browsing the Open Data Portal site for City of Vancouver, SAFE's hometown. We're looking at 194 available data sets. We can scroll manually and choose them. On the left, there are various filters to refine the ones we have visible. And we can also download the whole catalog as a spreadsheet. If I go to sorting by popularity, you can see issued building permits, and that's the data source we're going to turn into an information product, a hosted feature layer in ArcGIS Online. There's rich metadata available in the site, including some hyperlinks there to take you elsewhere in Vancouver's systems. We can set a filter, I'm interested, say, in just this year's building permits, and we can look at the data in tabular form. You'll see that the issue date is only 2025. We can have a look at a map. It's a leaflet map. There's some point aggregation going on. As you zoom in, you can see more data. All is good. And we can export, which is where the ETL comes in. So with the filter on, I can grab a hyperlink or a link, sorry, for GeoJSON for just those records. That's my beginning point for this information product, which is made with relationship classes and symbology in Pro from an ETL space with the GeoJSON. So there it is as my map product in online. I have, it's rendered. You can see the legend off on the right, type of work as a field in the data. And we've got dots on the map. We can see that it's got quite rich attribution. All is good. So that's our information product we want to maintain on a continuous basis because building permits come and go every day. Here's the item home page in ArcGIS Online. That's the feature service we're going to maintain in ArcGIS Pro. It's the same data. I'll just go up in the content pane there and show the properties for the feature service layer. You can see it's coming there from ArcGIS Online. So how do we maintain that with an ETL tool? Now, in Pro, you see off on the right there, a special ETL tool, we call them, which is an FME workspace, can be a geoprocessing tool inside Pro. And I've got two there. I'll edit the one which we use to maintain the data. It's very simple. On the left for reading GeoJSON. We're splitting the data, actually flattening the GeoJSON into a few layers, and see with the connector, what can we do with that? Star of the show. What does it provide us that we're going to use in the workspace? The connector transformer, which lets me edit metadata, feature service reader and writer. It's now been rationalized down from 3 down to 1, sorry. The attachment connector, which Renato will demo. Sienna's going to show the branch version manager, and if time permits, we'll use ArcGIS Online as a web file system. So there's a whole lot of rich functionality. So I've split up the, where the action happens is in a few bookmarks here. We will zoom into the right changes one here. Like I said, we flatten the GeoJSON into 3 layers in the feature service. So to do change detection, get efficient right, we will read the data coming from the feature service and write the changes. See, the FME DB operation is available to us as a format attribute, so I can do insert updates and deletes to the 3 layers separately, and it's using that one feature service format. Okay, you see the summary port and write changes sends out a feature which I can use to trigger update of the metadata. So that reads a CSV file from Vancouver's site, extracts the metadata for the entry, and lets me apply the metadata to the appropriate areas in the system metadata. Let's run the tool here. Well, this generally takes 20 or 30 seconds. See what do we see? What do we see? 3595 features for today from Vancouver's site. They've arrived from the GeoJSON. We're reading them for the current state of the feature service with the readers that you see in the workspace. The delta is calculated and written out. So a few fewer features, a few more added, 142 added, and some updates and deletes. And one feature is sent out by the ArcGIS Online connector to set the metadata for the information product. So if we look at the attribute table for the feature service, all 3595 landed. I've got no caching going on, so that's immediately available to us. If I go over to the item home page for the feature service, then my metadata has landed. Beautiful. So if the data or metadata changes on a daily basis, we can keep it all up to date. So that wasn't hard, was it? So all you people who polled as being disorganized or not doing it right so far, you now have a way forward. Okay, I think that is my demo, Elizabeth. All right.
All right. I'm next. I've seen a lot of attachment questions, and now I hope I can be able to answer some, not most of them. All right. Feature attachments is a file that are linked to individual features in the feature layer. There are several reasons why we use them, and we have a list of supported formats for attachments linked on the slide, and we'll share that in the chat as well later. So our demo for that attachment is a portal-to-portal migration of a feature service with attachments. This workflow is typically for customers whose entry point to Esri products is through ArcGIS Online, and they are moving to ArcGIS Enterprise. So I'm going to go ahead and start my demo. Uh, this is our goal, and hopefully by the end we'll be able to improve. I'll be able to show the results of improved workflows with attachments. So first demo is a simple download to show how the connections are configured for this workflow. We start with the Esri feature service format, reading an ArcGIS online feature service, and then exposing the ArcGIS feature service feature URL format attribute. In the next transformer, we list all the feature attachments and expose the attachments ID as well as the sum of the metadata that goes with uh, the download action item. I chose as an attribute option to store attachment because I want to create subfolders using the feature object ID. This is useful when you have attachment with the same file names and extensions. We can see from the Windows Explorer the results of this workflow. I create an attachment folder, and then each feature has its own folder name associated to the object ID. Right. So that's a simple workflow compared with the previous way of managing attachments in the past. Our second demo is we'll raise that bar a little higher to achieve the goal of making this workflow repeatable. Make it work with ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Enterprise with one web connection user parameter and with minimum configuration to pick a feature service. It is expected that the workbench author has some knowledge of the hierarchy of the feature service portal item down to the feature attachment. This hierarchy is enforced in this workflow. Step one, during the runtime, we pick a web connection and list the user's content to filter the feature services. A single user parameter called Esri Web Connection makes this solution very dynamic and allows easy configuration of all attachment connectors and HTTP callers downstream. I believe that's one of the questions I saw earlier in the chat. The result of this is a list of 91 feature services. And you can see in the slide how I configured this user parameter to accept the two web services templates that Shanna mentioned earlier, both using OAuth. And I'm just trying to show the preview of these choices for the default value for my user Esri Web Connection attribute. With that, we were able to run the next step and identify the feature service with layers that have property has attachment equal to true. Our list down is 13 feature services. So the next step would be to call the feature layer and table query attachment endpoints with the parameter return count only equal to true. This will identify the feature service with total counts uh, of attachment per service greater than one. So we're down to 9 feature services, and you show on the table all the feature services and the number of attachment they have. And from here, we will stop at the breakpoint to configure our tester to pick the feature service from which we will want to download our attachments from. In part two, the attachments will be downloaded in the familiar pattern I showed earlier. With this demo, you can rerun the workspace again to pick another connection and configure the tester to a new feature to select a new feature service to download attachments from. We will skip this download part because the user's end goal is to migrate to an AGE feature service, and we will see this in the next demo. Part one is to read the ArcGIS Online feature service and write to the destination enterprise feature service. We need to do this first to create the features to be linked to the attachments. We only read 5 features from the reader. Part two includes, once we have those features in our enterprise feature service, we can run part two. Part 2 involves reading the enterprise feature service created in Part 1, list and download the attachments for the ArcGIS Online feature service, join the features with your attachments using the global ID, using the feature joiner, uh, and then add the attachments to the destination feature service. As an option, an ArcGIS attachment connector configured with delete action is added to the canvas to connect and run separately from the cache of download attachment transformer to minimize storage space and save credits. To demonstrate these results, I will use the RTS Enterprise Instant App Template Attachment Viewer to see the results of our migration. We see the 5 feature services as well as the attachment that we added earlier in our workflow. So hopefully that should answer some of the questions I've been asked on the questions, including writing to enterprise and adding attachments. All right, that ends the demo. Just want to highlight the lessons learned. We see that ArcGIS attachment connector help build repeatable attachment workflows. Migration from portal to portal is easier, and repeatable solutions can be done with the use of a transformer, whether you're using the ArcGIS on attachment connector, online connector, or HTTP callers. And reusable custom transformers make it easier. Right. Next section. Batch creating items in portal. I don't think I've seen any questions related to this earlier. When I refer to portals, it's basically it could be either be ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Enterprise. Hubs and sites are part of the ArcGIS system, and they're designed to help organizations share geographic information with the public or internal stakeholders through user-friendly web interfaces. To automate hub item creation, we follow a 3-step pattern. Read and prepare the data, create the portal item with upload or publish actions, update the portal item to create the hub item using share, set, and categorize uh, actions. We do not have the categorized actions yet, but we can use the HTTP caller for that. All right. We go on next to our demo. We are going to batch create portal items for sites and hub by automating the creation of these portal items. It is a tedious process involving numerous REST APIs and transformation, but thanks to the ArcGIS online connectors, we have resulted to this goal was achieved and it and automation can be attained. All right. Our first demo. Um, well, first let's uh, let's let's click on the demo. All right. Um, we, our use case is migrating an open data portal into an open data ArcGIS hub site. Hub automation involves creating new portal items and moving data. We will take advantage of the connector's action items, its action-driven parameters, and its output attributes to allow us to daisy chain multiple actions using the same powerful transformer. Some of the actions have more than 2 attributes, especially the list. It's got a lot of good stuff behind it. Let's open our ArcGIS online portal and look at the folders. We will store our newly created items. We have 3 folders and they're all empty. Let's open our hub site to look at the cards and how they are curated. We have 4 category cards that use tag queries, and our end goal is to populate each card with the portal items created in our workflow without any manual intervention. The 3 demo workflows that I'm going to show, it will follow the 3-step pattern I mentioned earlier in the slide. Demo 1 creates a series of document link URL item types as portal items. My data source is from an Airtable list of ArcGIS sub-resources, mostly from Esri blogs, videos, and other articles. I picked this source because I know that intro as a thumbnail URL and the HTML document will appear in the ArcGIS sub browser. Step one is reading the data source and making sure that the URL link is active and returns the proper response code. Step two is creating attributes for the first ArcGIS Online connector with upload action. I use attribute creators to assign the values that will be used in the ArcGIS Online connectors. So it's a common pattern that I want to highlight here the use of the tag document link, which will result to the tag query. Step three is creating attributes for the share action and then share the new portal item from step two using the group ID ID as a value. The last step is highlighting the sharing level and the use of hiding the description to share, set details, and thumbnail URL into the ArcGIS Online connector transformer. While that's running, we're going to open our ArcGIS Online and look at the results. We see that the items have been created in the Hub Resources Links folder. We see the thumbnails updated. We click on one item and we see the description that was configured and written with the upload tool. And then we look at the other item properties and we can see that they're properly created as well. You see the tags, sharing level and permissions, the group name, the folder name, and the acknowledgements. If we go to our hub and click on the document library card, we see all the items that are tagged as document link. We click on one of the hub item and we see the document showing up in ArcGIS Hub's browser. If we click on view full details, we're going to see the rest of the item properties that came from ArcGIS Online item. Right, back to demo number 2. It's we're going to create another series of document link URLs, but my source is an Excel file downloaded from opendata.gov website containing a list of open data sites from various government agencies. I picked this data source because each feature has links to RSS and CSV downloads from the original dataset. Instead of converting these datasets, which I created links to add to the description of the portal item. This tells us that the possibilities here are endless when you're migrating from an open data portal into ArcGIS Hub open data site. We run the bookmark. Steps 1, 2, and 3 are very similar to the first demo. We do the check if the website's online. Um, and then we do the upload action, specifying therein a new folder to store the sample data sets from open data. And then share to org and group is not going is going to be the same. And then set details is going to be a little different with the URL links that I created to download the data directly from the item itself or from the item description. This potentially covers an important gap we have with creating a portal item that requires multiple downloadable formats stored in ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Enterprise. This is a bit tricky with the concept of a portal item in Hub as an item with a single format. So by doing this, providing this link, we can be able to address a single item with multiple formats that can be downloaded by the end user. We're going to build results in ArcGIS Online and Hub. You can see the links there. And you can open in the Hub item. Uh, we we do have a URL that's not well formed, and that's why when you view the document, you actually do not you see actually an error message there, and that's based from the uh, HTML that we got from the source. All right, moving on to demo number 3. We are now going to upload multiple zip file geodatabase and publishing the zip file geodatabase portal item into a feature service. So out of 2 file geodatabase, we're going to create 4 portal items in ArcGIS Online. It's going to still follow the 3-step pattern, but this time we'll do it twice with a slight modification. Step 1 will crawl the folder path on my computer. Then we prepare the file geodatabase so each item is properly named and formed as a zip file geodatabase. I have 2 custom transformers that will do this. Once they are zipped, duplicates are filtered, and tester selects 2 file geodatabase to run in the next 2 steps. Step 2 is uploading the zip file geodatabase. Using the upload action. If you notice, uploading data in file geodatabase is quicker because the processing is done by the server and not the client. So step 3 is publish, and we're gonna use publish that zip that file geodatabase portal item into a feature service. So now we're gonna open the results in ArcGIS Online. And if you scroll down to the item properties of the first feature service, all right, uh, we click on the feature layer and we scroll down the list of item properties on the right. You would see a new property called uh, created from Riverside, which is the name of the zip file geodatabase from which this feature service was published from. If I click on that link, I will see the same. I will see that this zip file geodatabase is also related to that feature service. When I go to Hub, if I go to my data library, I see the 2 file geodatabases. When I go to the feature services card, I see the 2 feature services. So that ends the demo. Just reviewing our lessons. This transformer heroes are really the ArcGIS online connector with lots of flexibility with all the actions that it comes with. And then the HTTP callers and ArcGIS REST API fills in the gap to complete a repeatable and highly efficient workflow. Back to you, Shanna.
Perfect. And we're going to end off on branch versioning. So saving the most exciting thing for last. What is branch versioning? If you haven't used it before, it's slightly different than traditional versioning in Esri. A big difference is users will have multiple edit sessions that are saved as versions, and those all get reconciled directly to the default. So in the diagram here, which comes directly from the Esri documentation that I've linked, you can see the green user and the blue user are both working on their individual versions. When they're ready, that gets reconciled back to the default. And then all of these versions are saved in ArcGIS portal. So they're all going to synchronize their versions back to ArcGIS portal. Some requirements on the geodatabase side for branch versioning, you're going to need a geodatabase that's 10.6 or later. You must have a global ID field, and you must have editor tracking. Again, full details can be found in the link provided there. In steps in ArcGIS Pro, this is what you'll need to do if you're going to start branch versioning a geodatabase. First, you register the database as versioned. After that, you're going to share a copy of that branch version data with ArcGIS Enterprise. And then finally, in ArcGIS Pro or FME, you can choose to create a branch version. In ArcGIS Pro, this is done using the tools. In FME, this is done directly using our feature service writer. You can choose to add a branch version there. In FME, you can use the feature service reader to read in your various versions. And then you can reconcile or post the different versions using either the feature service writer or the branch version manager. You'll want to use the branch version manager if you're trying to reconcile and post outside a writing session. And that's really where this comes in. Before, you would have to write your data and post and reconcile at the same time. But here you could choose to post or reconcile outside of that typical write session. So let's say you want to do that overnight, you could use the branch version manager to do so. A little bit about the branch version manager and a little side note. So I have a safer pet spotlight here. This is Gus. I believe he is a Cavapoo owned by someone on our HR team, and he also manages branches. But getting back to the branch version manager, it has 3 core actions. So the first is to list your branches and the various metadata. You can reconcile the versions using the branch version manager, and you can post as well back to the default. And then in the output of the branch version manager, we'll flag any issues. So this demo idea came from Trent. He mentioned to me that oftentimes users have a lot of different versions of their data sets, and they're not sure which one is actively used or not. And it can get really complex because you can have so many different versions using branch versions. So Trent's idea was to create a demo where you list out a bunch of your different versions, and then you do a little math in FME to see when these were last modified. And let's say you have a branch version that hasn't been modified in a really long time. You might want to inform the user, hey, you need to reconcile this, or we need to take a look at this data. So the demo will be pulled up here. So really simple, you're going to start off with a branch version manager. In that branch version manager, you'll have your connection, your action, in this case it's list, and a feature service URL that you can get directly from your feature service in Portal. So here I'm just going to my portal, my feature service, scroll down and copy and paste this URL into there. After that, I'm going to add an attribute manager. So in this attribute manager, I'm getting today's date, and I'm doing a little math in here as well. Esri gives epoch time, so the time format that they choose is epoch time, which I believe is like time since sometime in 1970, or the seconds between now and 1970. It makes it really easy to do math using the date times, but it's really hard to read as a human. When Esri supplies these values, it's always in milliseconds. FME only understands it in seconds. So anytime you're doing some date time calculations in FME, you'll have to divide what Esri gives you by 1,000. So let's open up the attribute manager and see what that looks like. Opening up the date modified here. So we're just doing some quick division. So this is the current value divided by 1,000. And then I'm also getting today's time in epoch seconds as well. After that, we're going to add a date time converter. This date time converter allows us to modify the time in epoch seconds back to FME time, so we can use other date time functionality within FME later on. And in this case, we're using a date time calculator. So all we're doing here is we're taking our start date time and our end date time, and we're going to see what the result interval is in days. So I want to know how many days old since it was last modified. Next, I'm adding an attribute manager. Here, the attribute manager is just really cleaning up our attributes so I can write it out in an Excel file. And then I'm just rounding the attribute that was given to us. So just round that off so I don't have any decimal points. I don't really care if it's 2.4 days or 2 days. Next, I'm just writing this out to an Excel sheet here. You can see the different options for writing. So we could insert, update, delete. But in my case, I want to truncate my file, so I get a new file every single time. So I'm just setting truncate to yes there. Finally, I'll write out my Excel sheet and I'll view it within FME, and I can see when my versions were last updated. So I have my default that was last updated 4 days ago, as well as my edit version, and that was updated 4 days ago as well. All right, back to the slides. So my lessons learned here. The branch manager allows you to update versions outside of a write session. It also allows you to gain insight into what branches you have, and also helps you resolve conflicts between the branches. So in conclusion, we took you on a whirlwind today. We showed you everything that's new and exciting about the ArcGIS connector, which is on FME Hub. So whether you're reading and writing feature services, managing branch versions and attachment in any of your portals, whether it's enterprise, online, or server, this can all be done by that package. And I'll pass it back to Elizabeth to wrap us up.
Awesome, thanks, Sienna. So I'll take us through in a couple minutes here through our remaining resource slides and such, and then we'll have a little bit of time to pick out a couple questions here. But yeah, if you're newer to Safe Software, we have been in the data integration game for over 30 years now, with across 25,000 organizations across the world that use FME and over 200,000 users worldwide. We connect it all data velocities, locations, types, and any AI technology. FME is the only all data, any AI platform. Okay, and some resources to help you get started. And I'll invite the team if they have any notes here on these resources, but I do know we wanted to highlight Bruce's blog. That's a great place to learn a lot. And specifically, we've highlighted how does data interoperability relate to FME? I know that question does come up from time to time. And so, yeah, definitely encourage you to download the deck and you can click through these resources. Awesome. And at SAFE, we are all about free resources. Check out our Academy for guided learning at your fingertips, as well as I'll highlight our webinars. We have lots of upcoming and on-demand webinars over at safe.com/webinars. You can also search depending on what you might be looking to learn more about. We've got literally hundreds. Next steps to take here today. Get in touch with us. We'd love to chat about anything data and help you solve your challenges. info@safe.com, and our accelerator course. If you are newer to FME, it's a great place to get started. All right, if you are a member of our community, we have a badge code that you can redeem today as a thank you for joining us. I will drop that in the chat now. And if you aren't a member of the community yet, we encourage you to take a look. It's a great place to network with other users alike and experts and gain solutions to your challenges. I know there's lots of forums and someone might have a similar question that you have over at the community. All right, so with that, I will invite our team if they want to join me on the stage and we can take a look over questions together.
I got a couple, not open questions because I replied in the system here, but a couple of people are asking, how do I manage relationship classes and symbology and stuff in feature service when I'm using FME? The trick is to build the feature service with the behavior that you want, symbology and so forth, relationship classes with ArcGIS Pro, because it needs Arc objects to do those things. From that point on, you can maintain the data with pure FME. No need to worry about it anymore. Another question that came up from Mark is he's trying to do something that I was trying to do recently using something like HTTP caller, and he wants a token to hit, say, some other Esri endpoint. The way to do that is to use OAuth authentication for your HTTP caller, and that'll give it a token behind the scenes, so you don't have to worry about going and getting one.
Great.
I'm happy to share the workspaces that do what I'm talking about for my demo.
Perfect. Yeah, so we'll include those on the recording page, everyone. So you can click on the recording page, and then you'll see a button that says see resources or see workspaces from there.
I'll also share the same workspaces I demoed earlier today through Elizabeth.
Awesome. Well, we do have a question in the chat about how should I start, I think, in terms of FME in general. Maybe Jigna can clarify that in the chat, but yeah, between Sienna and I, we might be able to give some insight there.
Yeah, I often say the best place to start is with the FME Accelerator. It's a free online course. It gets you up and running with FME in, what is it, 2 hours?
90 minutes. Yeah.
90 minutes, even better. I'm adding the link to the chat. You can always try out any of our other training courses. They're all free, available online. You can also start in the community as well. So lots of free resources to help you get started.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Does anyone else have a question they want to pick out?
I think Bruce is typing one right now. Do you want to answer that live, Bruce? I'll
yes.
start
So David is asking, what's the best way to get data from enterprise to ArcGIS Online? Well, Renato showed portal-to-portal data movement, but way I would first go is perhaps look at a file geodatabase, if it's the vector data or even imagery actually that you're looking to move. So zip up a file geodatabase, make it an item in ArcGIS Online, then you can reshare it as a feature service if that's what you want to do. Streaming is going to be
David's question
risky.
David's question is from enterprise to ArcGIS Online. Again, I need to qualify whether it's an enterprise. Is it a feature service by reference or a hosted feature service?
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah,
Hosted one you can trigger an export and get the file geodatabase right up. Otherwise, you'd be reading it, which would be harder.
Yeah.
David says SD feature class.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a very loaded question. It may be.
Yeah, it is.
So, we could probably address it through support.
You can make a feature service by reference from an SD object. It's a little bit slower than a native hosted one, but it will work. And then you just use the regular Esri ArcGIS feature service reader.
Okay, awesome.
So there's a lot of questions about tokens. Typically, we would really encourage you to use the OAuth authentication for secure. But if you're an admin that requires to use token, definitely use them. The new format makes it a lot easier to use token. You can actually build a web connection from within the reader, not necessarily going to the web connection. So that have been streamlined for the longest time, but you just need to tweak it, your feature services to add that web connection.
Brian's asking, what's the best practices to work database versioning using FME? Both traditional and branch versioning are supported for read and write. You instantiate those in the geodatabase with Esri tools, but then FME can pick them up, read them, write them, just like any other data. And FME does not support in-memory workspaces for ArcGIS. Yeah, so that's my question. Thank you, Brian.
All right,
working now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, the question I saw was, can you create a branch version feature layer directly in FME? And originally I thought, no, you can't. Originally I thought, yes, you can, but I believe, no, you can't, because I believe a branch version feature layer, it has to be referenced in the data store for portal. Is that correct, Bruce or Renato?
Oh, you're going to out me here. In fact, direct connections work, but we don't recommend that people use them that way. I think once the layer or the feature class is versioned, I suspect you can create an extra version like number 2, 3, or whatever it happens to be. But I recommend we take this one offline and just double check so we don't put people
Right.
wrong if there's a problem.
Right. And knowing what if there are any feature data sets that are being used, then that they add to the complexity in branch versioning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of triggers behind the special feature data sets like utility network or parcel fabrics.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody. We've got a goldmine of follow-up to work with here in terms of feature function.
We had a couple interesting questions from Patrice and Simon about why we would ship this as a package versus on board, like the old reader writers for Portal and ArcGIS server used to be. I'd be super interested to hear from folks if there are things. Would do the hub package because it can be updated much more frequently. Once you subscribe and like it, you will get announcements, and we can make updates to that to the connector at a greater frequency than the released FME, and usually that's been a big positive. I don't know, Sienna or Rahul or Trent, you can add anything to that, but we don't have plans to go back to shipping that on board with the FME form or data intro.
Yeah, exactly. Just easier to update, especially if there's changes to like authentication or something. We had that happen with our Google connectors. All of a sudden, they changed their OAuth kind of process. And so we had to get that out and get that updated quickly. And the best way for us to do that is like a package, and especially if you're using data interop. Your data interop is tied to so many things. We don't want to have you update it just to get kind of like a hotfix in.
Good point. We can only ship at an ArcGIS Pro release.
Right.
Whereas using hub packages is a way to do off-cycle updates.
Okay. All right. So I know we are a couple minutes past the top of the hour, so I will go ahead and wrap us up here. But please don't hesitate if you do have more questions. We'll hang back on a couple more minutes. But in the meantime, I just want to extend a huge thank you to all of our presenters and the Q&A team, and especially Bruce and Renato joining us from Esri here today. We really appreciate your time in collaborating on this webinar with us.
Yeah, thanks so much, Bruce and Renato, and everyone else.
Well, thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thanks so much, everyone, for joining. And if you do have a moment to fill out our webinar survey, we really appreciate any feedback. Awesome. Thanks, everyone, and hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye for now.
Bye. Thank you.
Ciao.
Bye.